All right.
All right. So I have the amazing Michelle. Correct me if I don't. Your last name is it Ms. Okay, correct me because I'm going to already jack up your last name. What is your last name again?
Mesa. It's just really
Mesa.
short.
Mesa. Okay. See, I was gonna. I don't know. I knew I was gonna not pronounce that correctly. So, Mesa. Okay. All right. So I have the
I get
amazing
all kinds of
Michelle.
things.
You did. Well, I have the amazing Michelle Meza as a guest on Kiki's Top Podcast, and I am so excited to have her on. And I really do appreciate you being on here today. And
Good to be here.
yes, and I am going to ask you some questions, of course. And the question I'm going to ask, the first question I'm going to ask you is, how did you get started, basically?
Awesome. I love that question. I actually don't get that asked too often, so I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to stuff like this. So I actually started many years ago when I was a teenager. I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit, and that's kind of it's always been in my bones, I say. But I in high school, actually, I started with my first job at 14. But in high school, I partnered with another friend of mine, and we started a car detailing business. And so our target market at that time were, the elders in our small town, and then it just kind of grew from there. And that actually bought me my first new car. I spent $500 and bought a really super old car. I was so embarrassed of it, and that included the paint job too, $500. But
Wow.
I was so embarrassed of it. But then when I pulled up, I guess I didn't realize it was like a classic car. So, anyways, so that's kind of where it started for me, and it really ignited something in me, and I realized like, wow, I can do lots of things when I work for myself.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I'm currently on my fifth business, so I guess you would call me a serial entrepreneur, right? I love
Yes.
startups. I have so many ideas in my head, but my current consulting company is my fifth company and my current company. So, and during COVID, COVID was actually good for me. A lot of people suffered. For me, it was a time as a single mom just to reset and just have time to breathe. I was still able to work from home in my W-2 job, but I also have been working on my consulting company along the way. But what that did was allowed me to reset and really figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to take my consulting business, because my goal has always been to work for myself. And so that's when I really dug deep and ended up picking up a couple coaching certifications. And the reason why I did that I was inspired by my own transformation, and I had spent so many years in therapy, and that really just, I don't know, it kind of brought me just again reignited a different spark in me to be like, oh my gosh, like I see the need for this, and I really wanted to reach people in a massive way, and it just aligned perfectly with my business. So yeah, that's where it all started.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. Yes, I just love hearing people say that, they start in their own business. And I know for me, just made that decision in 2017 myself. But yeah, it's just a good feeling, just being able to be surrounded with a circle of a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, I think that's amazing. Um, okay. Uh, see here. What drives you in your work, and what are you most passionate about? Sorry.
Gosh, lots. I have several things that I'm passionate about, but I would say probably the I want to the driver in that is I'm passionate about transformation. I love seeing the beauty in people becoming happy, healthy, and whole. I've experienced it myself, and that's really, I mean, to me, that is the most rewarding. And you see results. I'm a results driven person, and it's just amazing when you can see people and businesses transform uh, into beautiful things. So that gets me out of bed in the mornings.
Wow, that's good. That's amazing. Um, how do you stay motivated and inspired to keep pushing forward in your career?
Gosh. I have a few things that, motivate me and help me. Besides the old saying, rent is due every day as an entrepreneur, my fellow entrepreneurs out there listening, you guys know what I mean. The rent is due every single day.
Oh yeah.
So in addition to that, I actually use my own advice and tools that I use in my client for my clients. And, I think my relation, the most important thing with me is my relationship with God. He keeps me grounded and humble. And then, my strategy keeps me on task, and that's, you know, strategy really helps me hit my goals every month. So that's motivating because goals, I'm very driven and motivated by goals. A lot of people kind of, steer away from them or they're afraid of them. I'm not. I really do better when I have really clear set goals. It's just I'm competitive. So I challenge myself. I compete against myself and that really helps me grow. It helps me get out of my comfort zone and really focus. It keeps my focus on what I need to do instead of wandering off.
Oh yeah. Yes, that's good. I mean, because I actually feel exactly the same way as far as goals go. I believe in that too a lot. I mean, I am a big believer in that because it does help you, like you said, to stay focused, to keep you like the challenge is basically help you challenge yourself into doing better and to grow more. And so yes, I love that.
Yeah, and my girls, I have two beautiful young ladies. They motivate me. They really help me keep me accountable, and I try to be the best role model I can be for them, which leads down, to generational wealth. I'm really passionate about generational wealth, and I write as an outlet, and that also kind of helps keep me on track and motivated. When I have, everybody has different blocks or different dips in their day or their month or year, whatever it is, or maybe it's just a season, and I really think that, when you dig deeper and journal, I didn't used to be that person, until I received those coaching certifications, and that opened my eyes to really answer that question myself is what motivates me. And I write a lot of things, my motivations and stuff down. It just helps me, you know, and I
Yes.
recommend it to anyone.
Oh yes, I agree. It is definitely helpful, and I'm glad that you share that with us. Um, let's see what else. What questions else I want to ask? How do you balance your professional life with your personal life?
Whew, as a single mom, it's hard. A lot of people have help and support. I do not. I did have my mom, she passed away in 2017, and that's really
Sorry to hear
all I've
that.
had. Thank you. Now, I've had people, there's short seasons in my life to where God has just brought in people to like really help me and, when I needed it the most, when I didn't realize I needed it. But, when my girls were younger, I remember sitting at my kitchen table because at that time I didn't even have a desk. And I was sitting at my kitchen table just looking at a pile of mess. And I was just like, I am just, I need to get a hold of myself. I need to get it together and I need to figure out a way to manage myself so I can balance everything. And so they were kind of the driver, because I didn't want them to grow up. I I didn't want them to just see the chaos. It's one thing for other like to just, not show it outwards. But in your house it's different, you're more comfortable and stuff and it's a private environment, but at the same time I didn't want my girls to see me go through those things, right? Because I've
Oh
always been a
yes.
pillar of strength. Women in my family, I come from a long line of women who are just strong. I mean, I swear they're just born with this superpower of being strong. And so one of the things I really learned when they were younger is taking care of myself first. And the cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup. I've always heard that, but it was at that point at my kitchen table where it was just a mess. Like my kids couldn't even eat at the table. It was just things, random things everywhere. And I'd always kept a clean house. So of course that wasn't um how I did things. And I was kind of falling into this like depression kind of thing. It's kind of weird. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna start out with taking care of myself, first. And so I literally, by the time, my kids went to bed at the end of the day, I was just exhausted. But there's one evening to where I had a cup of hot tea and I gave myself a facial. And I'm telling you, that was a game changer for me. And that kind of shifted my mindset of like, okay, this really isn't hard. You don't really have to spend a lot of time, to actually truly take care of yourself. But it just kind of reset myself. And also, I stay active. I'm very, adamant, even if I can't make it to the gym. I'm not a gym person. However, I have, been more um, focused on strength training and stuff this past year, but I'm a runner. So I love to run, even walking. Walking does the
Yes.
most good the more I dig into it. There's just so many benefits, and you'll be surprised after a 10-20 minute walk what that does to your mind and your body. And that right there, I think, is taking care of yourself and just balancing things. The next thing I do would be time blocking. A lot of people just don't know about that. It's crazy how I don't even remember. I think one of my coaches or mentors, or maybe a book I read. I don't remember exactly when I learned it, but that was a game changer for me. Just managing my schedule and my kids' schedule and all that, and so that really helps. Um, with anxiety. So,
Oh,
I'm not a very
yes.
anxious person, but I know there's a lot of people out there. I feel like that's like a pandemic right now.
Hmm.
And so, just managing yourself and your time, that's huge. And because to me, I tell myself, if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And other, and also my daughter, my oldest daughter, this is so funny because, over the year, I used to be into tech and all that stuff, but with kids and stuff, it just kind of falls to the wayside. And my oldest daughter, she's 20, and a couple years ago, she taught me about that D&D status on your phone. Had no idea that was about. And I was so excited because I felt obligated. With social media and stuff, especially when you run a business, you just feel obligated. And also, other people who reach out after hours, they expect you to answer at all
Oh,
times of the
yes.
night.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I had to learn really quickly in order to balance my life. I had to put up some boundaries, and that's one boundary that I learned that I just love. Because if it falls out on my D&D status, I don't respond. But what I've learned is I didn't lose anyone. People understood like, okay, yeah, this person is unavailable and or her team is unavailable and we gotta wait till, the next morning or
Yeah,
business hours.
exactly. Yeah.
That's really that's been a
Oh,
game changer for me.
well, yeah, I'm glad you brought all of that up, especially about anxiety and about walking, because matter of fact, that is actually something that I had brought up in my customer VIP group that I have, and I was talking about how I found out walking, how it helps me. I mean, it helps me as far as I'm able, like if I'm like super duper stressed, walking does. It's something about it, it just calms you down. It makes you where you're, I don't know, like you feel level headed after you walk, you know? I mean, it just, I don't know what it is about it, but you're so right. I mean, I don't do much running. My asthma won't let me do that, but I
Oh,
do walk a lot. And well, I kind of slack. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of slack back on my walking, but I was doing a lot of walking, and I got to actually get back into it. But it's very helpful for sure, for sure.
yeah, and I recently learned something. So my oldest daughter is going to school to be a chiropractor. She's 20 years old
Wow,
and
that's
she's going to
good.
be a junior in college. Yeah, I'm so excited. First doctor in our family, but she's also majoring in health and exercise science. And so she is currently getting her certification, I guess, to be a personal trainer or something like that. But what she told me about walking, it releases there, I don't know, it's just a special thing about walking, like exercising, that releases endorphins, but
Yes.
walking it allows that barrier to release and oxygen, the right amount of oxygen gets to your brain. And that's why we feel so much better. And like it's a natural de-stressor. And so I was like, hey, I got to share that with people.
Oh,
I,
yes.
I thought that was so cool.
That is cool. I'm glad you shared it with me because I just knew from personal experience. I just know how I feel afterwards. I didn't know why I feel that way, but I just always felt that way. So
Yes.
yeah.
Same here.
Let's see. The next question I like to ask. Where's my next question? Okay, so can you see talk about let's see. Okay, sorry. Can you talk about significant challenge you have faced in your career or personal life and how you overcame it?
And, I've had many setbacks in my life. I feel like sometimes more than my fair share. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that, right?
Yes.
Um, I want to say, I think the one thing that has tested me the most is about having faith in the unseen. Because, going to full-time entrepreneurship, like I said earlier, like I've always wanted to do that. And when I graduated college, I had a set goal. I wasn't married, I didn't have any children, and I was just determined. I was just gonna just start it right then. But then life happens, you get married, you have kids, and then my status changed, and from being married into being a single mom, and all of a sudden everything was on my shoulders. And I just felt, there's so many times that I just felt defeated, and I'm
Mm.
sure people can resonate with that,
Oh
and a lot of
yes.
people won't talk about it, but I do. I think it's important for us to have those conversations, because
Oh
so many
yes.
of us, especially entrepreneurs, we don't have any outlets. We keep it to ourselves.
Mhm.
There's just this stigma about, we've got it all together at all times, and that's just
Oh,
not true. And,
that's so true. You're right.
I, yeah, and up until 2021, I had a W-2 job. I worked full time in addition to working, my business side hustles, being a mom and all that stuff. So, that was a challenge in itself. And, and that's, I got divorced in 2014. And so all that time, I was just, it was just the comfort of having that, you're knowing that what amount you're getting every 2 weeks, and it's steady income and things like that, because entrepreneurship can just kind of be all over the place, especially when you're starting out.
Oh yeah.
And I've always been a fearless person, except for that I never could really take the leap. And then at the end of 2021, things just kept crashing down. So I would say, that's how I overcome it. I just didn't have a choice, really. It kind of, sometimes we won't do things until we're kind of forced to do it. And I feel
Oh
like,
yes.
God was trying to tell me the whole time, like, just do it, just do it. I got you. And I just wouldn't do it. But I finally decided, look, if this is going to happen, I've got to do something. I can't rely on a job, or whatever, it put up with all kinds of crap at work, bad boss and all that stuff. I've
Oh,
experienced all that, and I was just tired of it. So I just decided, well, it's either sink or swim, and I choose to swim. So even if my head bobbles up and down, and that's what I did, and that's what I've done ever since.
wow, that's amazing. You everything that you said I can resonate with, especially with wanting to be able to have say as to your own schedule, your own time frame. I mean, when you like you said, when you are a mother and you have kids, your priority, you want it to be your kids. You don't want to tell your kids, sorry, I can't do this because I have to go to work or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Um, let's see. The next question I would like to ask is, what is one of your proudest moments or achievements, and what did it teach you?
This is going to be an interesting story, and a lot of people are going to be like, "What? Did you even answer that question?" But yes, I'm going to answer it. So, my proudest achievement would be when one of the I told you this, I'm on my fifth business. So my first, well, my technically my second business was a clothing company, and that was birthed out of necessity. My husband at the time would not give me any money for clothing for my girls. One had a dance recital, the other had a birthday party, and I had to figure something out. So I grew up, really poor. My mom made my clothes. She was an amazing seamstress. I mean, I can't. I've never been able to do it as well as her. But what that did is it brought me back to, like, okay, well, I this is easy. I can solve a problem. I knew how to sew and stuff like that. So I just got in there and whipped up some outfits, and then before you know it, I had all these people, contacting me, and I was like, at first I was like, no, I was a little bitter about it because of my ex-husband and the situation, what led me to even make them. And then I ended up going from art craft show to any kind of local show that they had. Literally put all my designs in an ice chest because that's all I had.
Oh,
Roll it around. People thought I was selling drinks, food, tacos. It was so funny. And then I open it up and there are these beautiful designs. Anyway, funny
oh,
story. But then I just kept at it and then I just kept growing. And then before you know it, Zulily picked me up and then Dillard's picked me up. And then I was designing flower girl dresses. So I got into the
wow,
bridal industry. And yeah, it was such an amazing experience. I ended up on my designs ended up on runways. They ended up, gosh, all over the world in magazines. It was just so it just felt like, okay, I'm here, I'm accomplished, and but what I'm most proudest about is the fact that I didn't give up because what I'm about to tell you, it's shocking to a lot of people. Most people just would have quit. Even my mom was telling me, and she was my biggest cheerleader, but even she was telling me, Michelle, I think you just need to give it up.
oh,
But
yes,
what happened was I ended up failing. Talk about failure. I fell on my face. I'm talking, and how I did that is because I didn't have a strategy. And I told you I got picked up, my designs were pinned on Pinterest. It was like trending and all that stuff. So with that come a lot of orders really fast. And so I was making all this stuff by hand out of my
wow,
little 2-bedroom apartment, at my kitchen table with my sewing machine. Like I was doing it all and, stuff
wow,
all over the floor. I mean, it was just crazy. Um, so I ran out of room to put it. I didn't have a space for it. And then when Dillard's picked me up, they wanted me to do like a bridal line and then a ready to wear line for the new school season. And I was like, wow, that's great. They gave me, um, all that, all the space that I wanted, a window and all this stuff to display the designs. But with retail, a lot of people don't realize that you've got to put all that money up front. And so didn't have a strategy. I, used my savings that I had scraped by all these years. And then half of my design, I ran out of money. So half of my designs are still on the line in the Dallas market,
oh no,
Dallas Fashion District, and it's just, so obviously I lost that contract with Dillard's and Zulily moved on to someone else. But what that taught me is that failure is okay. It's okay to
yes,
fail because either way you win. And
oh
people don't
yes,
really understand that concept, but really because I learned a lot. I learned that I didn't have a strategy. So what are one of the services I offer now? Strategy sessions. And it,
wow,
it really just kind of it completely changed my thought process. Yes, I cried. Yes, like why is this happening to me? I had such great opportunity. But and also I learned that I needed mentors. I needed someone that I could bounce ideas off of, that I wasn't in it myself. That's when I realized like I needed to either start a community of entrepreneurs or be included and all that good stuff. So yeah, that was a really great achievement of mine is failing because had I not failed, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today in business and I wouldn't be helping so
that's,
many people.
that's what a great attitude to have and an incredible story too. Yes, that is definitely an incredible story. Um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Let's see, what the best piece of advice you have ever received when making a major decision?
The best advice I've ever received in my entire life, besides not give up, is to sleep on it and pray about it. And a lot of people say, "Oh, sleep on it." What? No, I'm telling you, that really changes things because like when a lot of people, including myself, like when I'm in the middle of a major decision, a lot of people make an irrational decision based on that pressure that they're feeling, the stress of the timeliness and all that stuff. Like if I'm going to make it, if what happens if this, what happens if that. So I really took that to heart, and it has really changed my decision making process. And I've actually taught that to my girls, and they do the same thing, even if it's a sport to try out with. They sleep on it, and if they still feel strongly about it the next morning and they've prayed about it, they feel a peace about it, then it's okay to do it. And that's really been a game changer for me.
That's great advice. Definitely great advice. I know I'm definitely guilty of that where I make sometimes I make decisions based off of fear and that's not good. So I am learning how important it is to pray when when you're frightened or when you're scared about something or when you just don't know what to do. I'm getting that notice. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes. So no. All right. I don't think it's going to take that long. Um, Hopefully not. I'm going to have to speed up a little bit. I'm sorry. It says,
It's okay.
what,
We're having some good conversation.
yes. It says, what advice would you give to someone looking to follow a similar path as yours?
What advice would I give? Get up and just do it. Just start, even if it's, simple, halfway put together, just do it. And if you fail or if you fall, stumble, get up and dust yourself off. I think it's really I mean, pretty critical to get up and just start over. Do it again, try it again, because we get in our heads so much, and depending on where you're at in your mindset, a lot of people just kind of get stuck there. They just say, "Oh, it's not for me," but really, that might be something. When you get knocked down, I notice, or when I get knocked down, I notice that I see things like that were in my blind spots before. They're open, and I can see, oh my gosh, I didn't think of this. Yeah, I'm going to try it, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to try it a different way.
Oh, good. That is so good. Um, all right. Who has been a major influence or inspiration in your life and career?
Well, now it's my girls. I learn something from them every day. People really underestimate our youth, and they discount them because of their age. But I'm telling you, this new generation coming up, they are full of wisdom and
Oh yeah.
insight and just full of innovation. I hire a lot of young people for that very reason, because they come up with things and they're fearless. I mean, they're just ready to go. And but before my girls, I would say my mama. She was always wanting me to. She didn't get to do much in life, and she didn't let her failures or things that she didn't get to do stop me or stop her from encouraging me. And I just, I owe a lot to her, because she really encouraged me, especially to not stop and to keep going.
Yes, that's beautiful. Let's see. Outside, let me see. Yeah, I don't think I've said this already. So outside your professional life, what are some of your interests or hobbies?
Oh gosh. I love gardening. I love cooking, scratch kitchen, like everything from scratch. A lot of people say, "How do you have time?" I make time for that. I cook a lot of my meals from scratch. I love the water, the outdoors. I love real estate. I'm an Airbnb co-host. I'm getting into real estate, investing and things like that. So yeah, I just love the pace of those types of things, because gardening is very different from real estate, and the
Oh
water and different
yes.
things like that. So yeah, it depends on, I guess, the seasons. I would say, some seasons are just a little slower, some are very fast paced. So
Oh
that's
yes.
what I love.
That's good. And I agree with you. Let's see. How do you find empowerment and confidence in your work, and how do you encourage others to do the same?
Mhm. That's a deep question, Kiki. Oh my gosh. Okay. I know we don't have much time, but I would say, these two scriptures, Philippians 4:13 and Jeremiah 29:11, most people have heard them, but that really kind of empowers me and gives me the confidence and the reminder, especially when I have doubts in my head, or things happen in the way that I don't think that they are going to happen. The
Yes.
outcomes are different. So, aside from my faith, I have a coach myself, and constantly educating myself, because even though we're subject matter experts, we're not experts in everything. So I try to make sure that I really stay educated. And that's a continuous thing, just like healing is to me. I mean, we should be lifelong learners.
Yes, I totally agree. I guess, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners where where can they find you basically?
Yes. You know, I would say the piece of advice that someone gave me is to just start, just, baby steps. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just go for it and you'll be glad that you did. You can find me on all the social platforms. You can find the links to those socials on my website at luxyconsulting.com, and that's LUKSI consulting.com. I have a VIP program launching soon. I just uh, release some coaching programs that I have. And speaking of coaching, and I offer strategy sessions. But speaking of coaching, Kiki, I have a special discount for all of your listeners, and with the code Kiki. So if they want to sign up for executive coaching, that's one of the coaching programs I offer. I can give you 10% off if you sign up for a year.
Uh,
So yeah, you can find
that's
all of that stuff on my website, and in my newsletter, I release things. I have some courses coming up too. So yeah, make sure
well,
you sign up for the new.
that's awesome. I'm going to make sure I put that on my website too, because I on the podcast website. So I will probably make sure I get all your information and then put it into my website. So I try to make sure I do that too. So, but thank you so much. It's good
Thank you
to
for having me, Kiki.
Yes, it was good to have you as a guest. It really was, and I got to learn a little bit more about you. And you are almost like a kindred spirit. I mean, based off of things that you said, because I believe in some of the same things as you. So yeah, that this was very, very good, and I would love
That's
to have you back.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to be back. Yes. Yeah. This is a continued conversation for sure.
Oh, oh yes, definitely. All right. I guess I'll go ahead and end it. Let me see. We got 3 minutes left, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you so much. Let's see.